Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about this Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight that we all just watched, okay? Now, I'm currently recording this video literally right after the fight. I mean, immediately after the fight. First thing I had to do was go and take a shower and make sure that I cleansed myself, because what we just witnessed in this Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight was so grimy, was so disturbing to watch, in my opinion. Now, I'm not in a great mood after watching this. I think you can probably tell. Like I said, it's pretty rare. You know, I'm uploading this video at 2 in the morning, my time. I usually don't upload this late, but I knew I had to, talk about this after what we just saw. Like, it was so bad, I knew immediately, all right, it's time to go talk about this. Now, I'm gonna be doing a lot of negative talk, let's just say that, throughout this video, so I'm kind of in the mood to cook right now, all right? And so as a result, I'm gonna be flaming the fuck out of basically everybody involved in this, because this was just an embarrassment to the sport of boxing. Not only was it an embarrassment to the sport of boxing, it was a pathetic display of money-hungry, greedy behavior, and even though they obviously did this shit for money and it was all set up to just extract as much revenue as possible, it was probably the most unentertaining thing I've ever seen. Like, I would almost rather go on YouTube and watch videos of, like, high schoolers fist fighting than what I just witnessed in this ring. So, Mike Tyson, at age 58, who previously had some pretty serious health concerns that actually delayed this fight in the first place, just went 8 rounds with Jake Paul in the ring. Jake Paul, of course, being 30 years younger than Mike Tyson, still being in his athletic prime, being someone who's at least actively boxing, like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend Jake Paul is like fucking Floyd Mayweather, but he's actually boxing in the ring, it's not just training. Mike Tyson's been retired for a very long time. So this whole thing, immediately, off the jump, was just terrible from virtually every angle. I mean, the fight sucked, the promo was all cheesy, the concept in and of itself of a 60-year-old man who is honestly, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, is closer to the average age of death in this country than he was to his athletic prime. We all knew, that this shit was just going to be a complete disaster, but a lot of people still held out hope, myself included, that Mike Tyson would somehow reverse the clock and he would fucking age back in time and he would just, knock Jake Paul's head off. But obviously that didn't happen. So, right off the bat, I want to say, so Netflix, they're the ones who did all the, promotion for this shit. They're the ones who actually did the production. It was a Netflix event, okay? So in order to watch it legally, you needed to go on Netflix to watch it, okay? Well, Netflix, being a $350 billion, with a B, dollar company, was so incapable of providing enough servers and traffic space for all of the users trying to watch the fight that most of the event was pretty much unwatchable for most people. I mean, even during like the undercard fights, when people were trying to watch, like, the other fights before Jake Paul and Mike Tyson got in the ring, you couldn't watch like half of the events. Like, I would sit there and I refresh it and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to watch the fight. It just wouldn't pull up. You couldn't watch it. So this happened so badly that it ended up trending on Twitter. Everybody was fucking complaining about it. And it just completely ruined the entire like first half of the event for so many people. Now, it got better toward the end when the main fight was coming on, but I mean, what a pathetic display from a company that has more money than Scrooge McDuck. They constantly want to raise and price hike all of their subscription fees. Oh, well, we got to raise the price from $15.99 to $37.95 this quarter so we can please the shareholders. But somehow none of that money has been fucking rediverted to provide services for the people who pay to use the shit. I mean, if I'm paying to use your fucking app, I should be able to at least watch the content, right? I should be able to at least open the fucking content up on the TV or on the laptop or whatever, right? I mean, it was pathetic. Like, it was one of the worst live, like, productions I have ever seen. There were technical problems all over the place. The servers couldn't keep up with the traffic. While all of this was happening, Netflix spent their entire fucking, social media presence trying to hype up the fight, acting like nothing was going wrong. And then let's talk about the fight. Now, that obviously that's the main point of this video. I mean, this was just fucking sad, like in all regards. like I said, most of us in the back of our heads, we knew, okay, there's one of two options here, okay? Either Jake Paul is going to beat a man 30 years older than him, who's way out of his prime, who hasn't significantly boxed in forever, right? He's going to go in there and he's going to get this sham win, and then he's going to be, oh, I beat Mike Tyson. I beat one of the greatest American athletes ever. Look at me. Ooh, look at me. Look how cool I am. It was either going to be that, or they were going to go the distance and it was going to end up a draw, and they were going to try and, rig it up to where they can have future fights for more money and bullshit. Now, thankfully, that option didn't happen, right? They didn't try to completely go that route. I mean, we'll talk about it, of course. Now, the whole concept of this fight is just embarrassing for Jake Paul. Like, he wants so badly to be seen as this significant fighter, oh, I'm a real pound-for-pound boxer. And I'm not, trying to say, oh, Jake Paul, is horrible, right? Because while he beats up on, geriatric old men, people that are washed up and out of their prime, basketball players, shit like that, right? He at least has a little bit of technique, and he can actually get in the ring and do it. I mean, most people can't say that, but that's really about as far as the praise can go for this guy, right? I mean, he takes no significant or real fights. He only fights people that he knows he has an inherent significant advantage on, and yet he wants to be respected and treated as if he's up in the same category as Gervonta Davis or Terrence Crawford or any of these people, right? He wants to be treated like he's one of them, and he's not just some YouTuber who is invading the sport with money and setting up production events that are essentially entertainment scripted products that are there only to generate money. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to play pretend, right? Yeah, when he fights, it's one of the biggest events. He has one of the biggest names. This fight, he pulled in 72,000 people to fight Tyson. But it was just embarrassing, man. There's no pride or dignity in beating up on this guy. I mean, it was so bad that I felt uncomfortable watching it. I mean, me and my friends had to first off stream the fight illegally to even watch the fight. That's how bad Netflix was. We tried to legally consume the content, it literally didn't work. So you had to go out of your way to steal the fucking stream and pirate it if you wanted to watch. And I remember when Mike walked into the ring, during the introductions and everything, and you could just see in his face, I don't want to disrespect one of the greats, because Mike is one of the greatest fighters ever and whatnot, but you could see in his face before the fight even started, this was not going to be a real fight. I mean, he looked dazed, he looked out of it, he looked like he had the face almost of a man who, he went through all the training, he went through all the fucking pre-weigh-ins, everything like that, right? And then once he got in the ring, it was like an oh shit moment. Wow, I'm actually back in the ring. This isn't just talk. This isn't training. I'm in the fucking ring again. And from that moment on, I knew, there's just no way we're going to see Prime Mike. That's just not going to happen. And obviously, we didn't see Prime Mike. Now, once again, I'll say, he went 8 rounds. He didn't get knocked down. He didn't get knocked out. But it's apparent that both of them held back their true potential. Like I said, I'm not going to give Jake Paul the credit for beating up on an old man at this point, no matter how good of a boxer he was in his prime. But I mean, he was landing combos. He was threw way more punches, way more significant hits. Just, obviously, quote unquote, dominated the fight. Now, to anybody who watched the fight and has any common sense, we know, oh, this is a fraudulent ass win. He would never fight or even come close to beating Mike in his prime. But unfortunately, it counts. You know what I mean? This is on the fucking books as a win for Jake Paul and as a loss for Mike. And I mean, it just felt wrong to watch. I don't know. Before the fight, like I said, there was this hope that, maybe Mike would actually pull out. He'd fucking pull, I shouldn't say pull out, it sounds just ridiculous, but I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? He would pull through. That's what I'm really trying to say on some no Diddy shit. But it just, I don't know. It was like watching, you drive by a convenience store and you see an old man pumping his gas, and then you see some fucking young guy come up and kick the shit out of him and rob him. That's what it felt like, just some old man getting beat up on the bus by some just fucking idiot, obviously half his age, right? It's just, nothing about it felt good to watch. Mike was slow, even though he obviously weaved some hits and he took a lot of hits like a champ. I mean, he was just so slow, and he reacted, it seemed even sometimes seconds after the punches were coming in. His leg work was terrible. He was wearing a knee brace, for 2/3 of the fight, he wasn't even throwing punches. Like, he wasn't even trying to hit Jake at a certain point. He was just trying to protect his head and make sure he didn't get dropped. And like I said, I respect Mike, for the fact that as a 58-year-old man, for him, this was an endurance test. I think that's where the difference really lies. Like, yeah, obviously both of them did it for money. They did it for the fame and the attention or whatever. But for Mike, I think it was a lot more personally to him about, can I go the distance with this kid half my age who's in his athletic prime? Can I show flashes of my former self? I think it was just a for him kind of thing. I don't think in any real world Mike Tyson was going to win that fight in most of those, worlds or whatever, but it's just embarrassing how bad this rubs off on everybody involved. I'm sorry, I can't count this loss against Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? I feel like most people think that way too. I know the number will change and it will probably be the last fight of his career, but even then, man, I can't count it. It doesn't feel real to me. And it all comes down to the fact that everything about this was just set up bullshit from the jump. I mean, Netflix couldn't run a good production. The people commentating the event were constantly getting on my nerves, The refereeing in some of the undercard matches was just fucking pathetic. I feel like wrong decisions were made in a couple of those fights, It just, I don't know, for the sport of boxing, it's sad that this is going to go down as one of the biggest fights of the 21st century so far. 72,000 people in attendance. Obviously, it was breaking the traffic on Netflix and online. It's going to be one of the more remembered fights, and it's going to be remembered for all of the wrong reasons. And, as a fan of boxing, a casual fan, I'll say, I'm not some fucking super fan, it feels wrong to me to see the sport almost made a mockery of in this way, right? Boxing has been in a pretty rough predicament, I feel like, for a good portion of my life now, and it doesn't really help the sport's reputation, in my opinion, when fights like this are the ones that are getting all the eyes. And it's sad because the Paul brothers constantly rob the fans of good experiences. I mean, they make millions of dollars from doing these bullshit fraudulent fights where, they'll fight people like Mike Tyson or, somebody's grandpa that they wheelchaired it in off the fucking street. He was out there waiting in line at Chick-fil-A across the street. They ask him if he wants $500,000 to take a couple hits for a few rounds. He, gets wheeled across the street. It's an embarrassing display for these guys, right? The only defense people ever bring up for this shit is, oh, but the Paul brothers are laughing while they're getting rich. It just shows that people don't consider their integrity or anything at all. For a lot of these people, it's all about money. Oh, well, they're getting rich while everyone is at home mad. And the reason why it kind of irks me, I have a little bit of a different perspective. Obviously, I am a YouTube creator. I know a lot of people watching aren't, but the thing for me is in this whole YouTube industry, there's been this recent push, this recent wave of people trying to be entrepreneurs. They want to start businesses. They want to become respected. They want to become known and, acclaimed outside of just YouTube. They want to build good foundations and businesses in other parts of their life. I get it. I also participate in the same thing. I write books. I do merch. I get it, right? But everything that the Paul brothers do is a fabricated pseudo product. They get all of these hyped up names and they put all these money into the events. And sure, they reap in a shit ton of profit, obviously. But at the same time, they make no legitimate product that people are thrilled to enjoy. And as a very prominent display, I would say, of YouTubers gone entrepreneurs or YouTubers gone out into the other ventures of society. It paints a terrible picture on the rest of the community when the YouTubers who go and establish these businesses and these brands and do these ventures, so many of them have no passion for it. And so they put it out, they monetize it, it becomes garbage. You end up with fights like this where everyone's like, wow, what the fuck did we just watch? This felt like watching someone beat up their grandfather. You know what I mean? And then they make millions of dollars off of it. And then as a result, the only defense is you never hear people saying, oh, I thought that Paul fight was great, man. Those guys really put in the work. They gained my respect as a fighter. The only way people can defend this shit is by going, yeah, but bro, the prize was big. The purse was big. They got lots of money for this one. Like, yeah, no shit, dude. If I shovel enough shit into buckets and sell it to people at $5 a pop, does that mean I'm as awesome as Steve Jobs? No. It's just fucking, it's a stupid comparison. It's always about, oh, well, they made a bunch of money doing it. That's great for them, man. That money doesn't unlame these motherfuckers, in my opinion, bro. Like, just because you made $20 million beating up somebody's grandparents, bro, doesn't mean I have to respect you. It doesn't mean I have to view you as a legitimate fighter or like this real big, awesome, great person, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's where the fundamental disconnect is. I get wanting to chase the bag, wanting to get money, but to absolutely disgrace the sport like this and just waste everybody's time over and over and over again, it feels wrong. It really does. It feels so wrong. And I think that Jake Paul has vilified himself in a way he could have never anticipated. I mean, say what you want about Mike Tyson. He might be crazy. He might have done some outlandish, off the wall things, said some crazy things, but he's one of the greatest people to ever put the fucking gloves on, man. And even though tonight he didn't look like he did in his prime, it says to me a whole lot that he would even go out there and put himself through that kind of personal challenge, Can I do this? Can I hang in this fight? And he did. And you can say, oh, well, they both held back. I agree. Obviously, Jake Paul had many opportunities where he could have ended the fight in a knockout. He chose not to. But even for Mike Tyson, he held back as well. Like, I think he realized that if he overexerted and he started throwing these crazy punches, he didn't protect his head, he kept trying to move too much and he gassed himself out. He realized that if he put too much into this shit, he was going to get embarrassed. And I mean, it didn't look, like I said, like prime Mike, but at the end of the day, he didn't get completely humiliated. And even if he did, I would still hold way more respect for him than I would ever hold for Jake Paul for getting in the ring like this. So yeah, Netflix and Jake Paul and all these guys, they made a shit ton of money on this fight, but at what cost? I mean, tried to put a stain on the legacy of one of the greatest people to ever participate in this sport, all for money, man. I don't know. And on top of that, like, even trying to do it for money, they still couldn't even fucking do it right. The fight was boring, the lead up to the fight. The best part of the event was actually the undercard fights. Like, if you could actually watch them through all the buffering issues and having to literally pirate the fight in order to watch it, the undercard fights were by far better than the main card event. And it seems like that's the case damn near every time when it comes to this guy and his brother in their fights. I don't know. But like I said, man, it's rare that I jump on here to make a video like this right after the event. But dude, this shit was a sham. I feel bad for even supporting this shit in the first place. It didn't feel like, it wasn't even like an enjoyable fight or like a good fight. It just felt wrong. Like sitting there watching that happen, the whole thing felt wrong. It felt like we're just watching somebody just be disgraced for literally no reason. It just, I don't know. I didn't really care for it personally. Make sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. Anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight and signing out.